Speaker, thank you. Regarding the budget tabled by the Right Honourable CM, I'd like to bring out the following issues. Number one, Cebu Hospital. Cebu Hospital is one of the major specialist hospitals in the Ministry of Health and is the second largest hospital in Sarawak. It serves as a referral centre for hospitals which include 5 divisions, i.e. Cebu, Kapit, Muka, Serikei and Batong, and 8 district hospitals, Kanawit, Kapit, Muka, Dalat, Daro, Serikei, Saratok and Batong. Cebu is looking after a lot of patients from all these areas, and there's a host of complaints leveled at Cebu Hospital, ranging from lack of good and modern facilities, overcrowdings, lack of proper space for waiting families, sufficient parking bays, and so forth. The Tuan Speaker, what I want to raise here is a lack of specialists in Cebu Hospital. The people of Cebu is in urgent need of cardiologists and oncologists in Cebu Hospital. The incidences of these 2 diseases causing fatalities are on an obvious rise. Everywhere we turn, we hear of someone being afflicted by either one, with some causing instant death without any warning at all. And yet, Cebu Hospital, in the second largest hospital in our state, and serving so many divisions and districts, has not been equipped with either one. Tuan Speaker, I want to talk about cancer. Hopefully, to impress upon this House the very urgent need for an oncologist and cancer facilities or center for Cebu. Cancer is no respecter of person. It does not choose its target. We have heard of people who live an extremely healthy lifestyle and yet who succumb to the disease. Even children are not being spared. Whether we like it or not, whether it's because of stress in our lives or excesses in certain areas of our lives, once the medical report shows that one has cancer, one's mind will inevitably turn to one's own mortality. The next thing to do, of course, is to seek treatment to try to prolong our life. Where we seek treatment, of course, depends to a larger extent on one's own financial ability. But believe you me, Tuan Speaker, the majority of these patients, even if their financial ability permits them the choice of hospitals, they will prefer to stay in their hometown to seek treatment, provided, of course, there's good quality and right treatment. The reason is simple. When one is afflicted with a life-threatening disease which requires prolonged treatment, a person's basic inclination is to stay close to the loved ones, to seek solace and love and peace which only one's own family members can give unselfishly. And this is where our government has failed the people of Cebu. The numbers of people being afflicted with the disease has been steadily increasing, and these patients who can only afford to go to Cebu Hospital are faced with no choice but to seek treatment from outside Cebu. For these patients, sadly, it means a prolonged time of separation from the family members. Most, of course, because of financial and family considerations, will end up in Sarawak General Hospital. This means the first 2 courses of treatment in Kuching, together with radiotherapy. If radiotherapy is mercifully not required, then the rest of the courses of chemotherapy may be continued in Cebu Hospital. Otherwise, it means frequent trips to Kuching. And because of high airfares, we see even cancer patients traveling to Kuching by bus while suffering from the side effects. For the information of Tuan Speaker, this is from sharing by people on the streets with whom I have the privilege of being in their confidence. And even for those who could afford to fly, the traveling was difficult and strenuous for those who suffer bad side effects from the treatments. Tuan Speaker, the government should seriously look into opening up a cancer medical facility in Cebu. In fact, conversations with local doctors in Cebu have confirmed that it is actually feasible for one to be built on the grounds of Cebu Hospital. Of course, we need the funds, and this is where we need to flex our muscles with the federal. After all, in October this year, the Deputy Prime Minister had announced that Malaysia should be building a hospital for the Rohingya in Bangladesh at a cost of 3.5 million ringgit. Humanitarian work is always good, Tuan Speaker, but this should only be done if we are financially able ourselves and our own people are not in need. With only 27 billion ringgit allocated for healthcare in the federal budget, how much is Sarawak getting? In fact, I was told that there's not even a PET scan in Sarawak General Hospital. The ministry concerned should look into the plight of the people from Central Zone and take proactive action to address them before any of us or our loved ones in Cebu too might need the service of this oncologist or cardiologist one of these days. Number 2, automatic citizenship for legally adopted children. Tuan Speaker, I can assure you that this matter is of paramount importance to a large section of our people in Sarawak. For the sake of our children and our people, I really hope that our state government finds a voice in expressing this issue. On 26th of October 2017, an international news went viral in online news portal that Sophia was granted a citizenship by the Saudi Arabia government. There would have been nothing significant if not for the fact that Sophia was actually a humanoid, a robot. So Saudi Arabia has become the first country in the world to grant a citizenship to a robot. And Sophia and her kind might soon be granted all her citizenship rights, including the right to vote and to travel to foreign countries under Saudi Arabia passport. Personally, I have reservation that such act of liberty should be given to Sophia and her kind, but our government should take this as a yardstick to review our own policy in granting citizenship to real people in our country, especially to all those below 18 years old who have been legally adopted by Malaysian parents. As we all know, there are several situations which can cause children to end up in such a predicament, but I shall confine my speech to children, both legitimate and illegitimate, who have been legally adopted by Malaysian parents. I believe that if the citizenship issue can be solved for this group of children, it will be a first positive step in resolving the stateless issue in our country. Speaker, under the adoption laws in our country, in Peninsula is the Adoption Act, in Sarawak, our Adoption Ordinance, and in Sabah, the Sabah Adoption Ordinance. All three acts similarly provide that when a child has been legally adopted, the natural parents drop out of the picture totally. They have no more control nor right over the adopted child, and the adopted child is deemed to be a biological child of the adopted parents. In other words, the adopted child should follow the family name and nationality of the adopting parents. This has to be right, as it is illogical and odd that after being adopted, these children would follow the family name of the adopting family, but not their nationality. A child born in Malaysia and adopted by Malaysian couples would, under the Constitution, be entitled to be classified as children under operation of law, as under the adoption law, particulars in the birth certificate should be conclusive evidence that a child is a Malaysian. Just because this issue has been creating a lot of heartache to our people, cases are brought before the court, and when decisions were made in favor of the parents, the government will appeal against those decisions. It is indeed baffling. What has the government against granting citizenship to these innocent children? We are dealing with little people under 18 years old, and even though recently our Deputy Prime Minister has set a time frame for all the applications with, and I quote, complete documentation which fulfill all requirements will be approved within this month, the problem is all this time, nobody knows what are all the requirements that are required. From cases that were brought before court, issues like biological parents who could not be found, no evidence to show that the child was not a citizen of another country, were brought up as some of the requirements. Speaker, the point is, these issues and all other issues should be redundant when the adoption has been legally effected. Once legally adopted, the adoption law should apply, and the law now belongs to the adopted, and the child now belongs to the adopted parents. Lock, stock, and barrel. It should not be our origins which determines our nationality, but instead it should be our upbringing in our Malaysian culture which makes us Malaysian. Hence, these children, all below 18 years old and being brought up as Malaysians, should be acknowledged and given all due citizenship as Malaysians. Therefore, for the sake of our children, I urge the state government to put in a strong voice to the federal on this. On the related issue, the people wishes to know on the status of the SOP regarding the applications for adoption and citizenship. Hopefully the ministry concerned can update this house on the status. Education. The importance of this ministry in our state should be taken very seriously. It should be our state lead advisor on the education system, shaping direction for state education agencies and providers, and contributing to our state government's goals for education for both our local teachers and children. The state government appeared to have initially taken an aggressive approach in respect of education matters, with some positive and encouraging policies being put in place. However, lately, issues which seem to challenge the devolution of power in education to our state seem to be making the headlines. This warrants serious attention from everyone in this August House. I should touch briefly on two of these issues, one a more obvious one, and the other a more subtle issue. Number one, 1910 initiative. Speaker, may I remind this August House that this initiative was introduced with the intention of empowering our state, as it was recognized that the local teachers are the best candidates to impart our knowledge to our young ones. I share the concern of the Honourable Member from Pakalalang when he too raised this issue in his speech on Friday, that since the time when the initiative was first implemented in 2015 till 2nd of November 2017, we have been continually assured by the Ministry that we were on track for the 90% local teachers to be achieved by 2018. Now we have been informed that this 90% is an impossibility due to the lack of quality local-born teachers. So what happened, Trans Speaker? How could we be led all these times to believe that we were on track with no issue at all on the quality of our local teachers until 2 months before the deadline? From 27th of January 2017, when we were told that we had already reached 88.9%, it was only 1.1% more to go. Surely, that should be more than ample time for the gap to close. In fact, there is nothing magical in the Resolution 1910. It does not mean that once we reach the target, everything that is wrong with our education system will suddenly be made right. But on the other hand, it is an assurance to our people that we have hit target on at least one of our devolution exercises in one of the 5 proposed areas. The people need that, Trans Speaker, because to date, the state government has nothing concrete to show that we are having the upper hand in the negotiation for the devolution of powers. Alright, since we've been told that we like quality, local-born teachers, so much so that we could not find an extra 1.1%. The question that comes to the people's mind is where the rapid filling up of the numbers from October 2015, when we were first informed that we were at an average of 70 to 30, till 27th of January 2017, when we were told that we had reached a target of 88.9 to 10, these local teachers, were they of the good quality as required by our state ministry? Or were they simply put in to give false assurance to the people? And just yesterday in the news, we heard the cries of 75 interim teachers who apparently did not get through the psychometric test again. And apparently these teachers have been evaluated in their teaching performances and have been declared to be good by the schools. So why has the ministry failed them? Are these the teachers who have been declared to lack quality by the ministry? Is there any truth to the allegations in the media made by these interim teachers that some teachers, as in teachers from Teach for Malaysia program, are allowed to teach without going through the psychometric test first? The ministry should inform what are the qualifications that these teachers are lacking in. What is your KPI to achieve this ratio 90 to 10? How is the intake of pre-service teachers being done? And how many of these pre-service teachers from Sarawak have our teaching institutes taken in? And what is the percentage when compared to other states? And how many vacancies are we left with in our local schools? As a state ministry in charge of education, I ask, are we on top of these questions and the concerns of our people? Because the people would surely like to know the answers. Mental stress among our students. From teachers, I shall move to students. The life of a student nowadays is not to be envied. Students nowadays, more likely than not, are stressed out in just about everything. Examinations, assignments, peer pressure, family breakdown, just to name a few. Stories of mental breakdown followed by self-harm and suicide are becoming increasingly common. But particularly heartbreaking are stories of young overachievers who decide to end their life because of matters which can be as trivial as being satisfied with what they've written on their examination papers. Trans Speaker, there may have been efforts to address the mental health of our people, including the young ones. And I'm aware that the causes of mental breakdown are many. But I would dare to say one of the major causes of mental breakdown among our students is our education system. Our education syllabus has placed an excessive yet unnecessary pressure on these young academicians. Our government examinations are 100 exam-based evaluations of students' academic performances, as in PT3, SPM, and STPM, and until just recently, we had a UPSR too. Nowhere in any of the results slip for any of these examinations can we find the core curricular performances of our students as the deciding factor for the measure of success. Although students are encouraged to participate in core curricular activities in school, the applications for tertiary studies in local universities only place focus on how many A's have been achieved. Our education system has successfully ingrained into our students that they will only achieve far in life with the academic result slips. Trans Speaker, our education system needs an urgent revamp. Instead of having 100% exam-based evaluation, we should consider 60 to 40% evaluation as are done in some other countries, 60% to the academics and 40% to the extracurricular activities, achievements. Speaker, it can no longer be denied that the federal government has failed us miserably on the matter of education of our children, among so many other things. It is clear that in spite of the newly set up state ministry, it is not helping our local teachers and children. From failure in providing a good system to the lack of funds for our dilapidated schools, if all these are still not a sufficient reason enough to demand for the return of our education autonomy, then please let the mental health and well-being of our students be the catalyst for the handover of full autonomy in education to Sarawak. I'm sure we can do better. In conclusion, I wish to say that if this government is really serious in the autonomy issue, and we are all of one accord here in protecting our state rights first and foremost, then we have to lift up our heads and should proceed with our negotiation with the righteous belief that we have the one-third right and authority in making our voice heard, especially with all these issues which adversely affect our state citizens. We need to show that we're speaking to the federal government as an equal partner and not as being subservient to the master, and as a fully clothed participant, clothed with authority and not as a backseat passenger. Sarawak has a great destiny. Whether we reach the destiny or not depends on how our legislative and our executive work and carry ourselves, and how far and how willing is this state government going to go for our state citizens. With that, I conclude. Thank you.